I'd like to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from New York, Mr. Suozzi.
The gentleman from New York is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Castro. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for your great work on this. Thank you, Chairman Blumenauer, for the work on Ways and Means. Thank you, Chairman McGovern, as well. I rise in strong support of this bipartisan Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. We really need to wake people up out of their torpor. It's been reported in the newspapers often, but I don't think most Americans realize exactly what's going on in China. It was almost 50 years ago when Nixon first went to China, and we always believed as Americans that the more they were exposed to our way of life, our democracy, our economic system, the more they'd become like us. That simply has not happened. We had hearings at the China Commission. We had hearing the other day at Ways and Means. And the witnesses testified not only about forced labor, which is clear, but they talked about crimes against humanity. They talked about forced sterilization. They talked about forcing people to eat pork, even though it violates their religion. They talked about prohibiting people from practicing their faith, attending religious ceremonies, observing fasts. It's hard to imagine that in today's world, that forced labor is happening, and we know about it. We need to recognize that China has to be held accountable. We have rules in place now that say you can't use forced labor, but this bill is going a big step further in saying everything that comes out of the Xinjiang region will be presumed to be using forced labor. This is going to have a big impact. Most of the cotton in the world, or a lot of the cotton from the world, comes from China. 84% of that cotton from China comes from the Xinjiang region. This will have an impact. We'll have to support other countries to produce cotton. We'll have to work to get the Northern Triangle, for example, to produce cotton, so we can try and address those issues where our friends are. But we need to hold China and the Chinese Communist Party accountable for these violative acts of our very conscience. We have to do everything we can do to stand up for our values and to say this is simply unacceptable. I ask my colleagues for their support. Thank you.
The gentleman